Hi, Matt.
Hello there.
Thanks for doing this.
Of course. My pleasure.
All right. Well, let's just start out by introducing yourself, your position, and just tell us a little about yourself.
Well, my name is Matt Storkman, and I'm head of finance with Evid. I actually recently joined the company, delightfully coming up the learning curve, learning more about what we do. It's been a great experience. It's actually been very refreshing or pleasantly surprising. I think a lot of times you come into a company, the blush can come off the rose rather quickly, and it's been the opposite. I lead finance, I would say, in terms of my role and what I do for the company. It's both internal and external leadership, not only of finance and accounting and financial reporting, but also external partnerships, commercial agreements, and even customer relations with contract negotiations and commercial terms, things like that. So it's actually one of the things that I have taken the most enjoyment even early on in joining Evid is how various my days can be. And it's not just accounting and financial reporting, but it's many, many, many things that not only help the business day to day, but also have an impact on strategic leadership and where we're going as a company.
So tell us a little bit about your background leading up to this.
Sure, happy to. Yeah, this was certainly a change. I had spent about the last almost 20 years in the investment banking world as a merger and acquisition advisor. And so in that capacity, I would partner with business owners of mid-sized businesses as well as client teams at Fortune 500 and larger clients, often publicly traded, in advising those clients on either selling their company or making a strategic acquisition to grow their business in new areas. And so it was a very rewarding career, or part of a career, for nearly 20 years. The thing that I took the most joy in was the fact that clients were coming to me and to our firm on their most important initiatives. And they wanted our help because of how important those initiatives were to them. And so it was a very valuable type role. It gave me the opportunity to offer a very high value sort of support. As long as we worked hard and had our clients' best interest at top of mind, clients were highly, highly appreciative of it. And so I did that for, like I said, almost 20 years. And I felt like I had learned a lot in those 20 years, and it was time to learn something new. And the thing that I really had set my sight on was I wanted to join with a company where I could help achieve the mission, ideally in a growth context where we could continue doing more and better for the clients that we were working with. That was how I had been originally introduced to Evid. And it was one of the things that made me gravitate toward Evid was, as a company, we really do place the client's mission as our top priority. And when we come to work every day, when we answer emails after hours, it's always about, does the client need it? How soon do they need it? And how can we help them, right? Even if it's not convenient or at the best time for us. So it was just a perfect time where Evid provided, exactly what I was looking for as the next step in my career. And I'm very excited for the future.
Well, how would you describe the culture at Evid?
That's been one of the most refreshing elements to it. I feel as you get to know companies from the outside, there's a lot of positives that you can see. And it's when you join, that's when you start to realize, everybody might not be as happy here as we thought, right? That's been one of the biggest pleasant surprises, was the people here truly are great people as human beings with regard to integrity, honesty, work ethic. The fact that we put our collective team before all of our individual parts. In describing the culture, I would use those words: honesty, integrity, hardworking, and high quality human beings. And that's been something else that I really value in my role in coming to Evid.
How do you think that clients, their experience with Evid is impacted by that culture, who our people are and what we believe in as a company?
So I would think, and I've seen firsthand, clients appreciate it because of the dedication, available at all hours, available on short notice. If the client wants it, we're going to get it done. So they see it in the responsiveness of customer has an issue, customer has a question, one of our other partners has a question. We jump on it as quickly as possible, and the client can see that. It's not just an automated, hey, we'll get back to you in 48 hours. It's a personal response of, yes, we're on it, and I'll take care of this for you. And we'll provide an update on it as quickly as possible. So they see it in response time. The other element, or one of the other elements of our culture, who we are as people, is integrity, but that also leads into security. We are a financial technology company, and so in that capacity, we want clients to feel very secure with the service we're providing and how we go about our day-to-day. And that is very much part of the fabric of who we are, and it can be for the very large dollar transactions that everyone would expect to receive that attention, down to the relatively smaller transactions where we've got a small business vendor that's working with us, and it may not be the largest transaction, but it's equally important that we are secure that the payment's going to the right place, it's been properly vetted. So I think clients see that, and they can understand with some of the questions, as we work through new vendor onboarding, and if any, flags come up to us, we always investigate it in the appropriate way. So clients see it in that regard as well, with security and control.
Trust, obviously, confidence, especially when it comes to payments, is so important. And I think as a company, we take that most seriously. A lot of people are surprised at how efficient we've become on the back end and how many controls we have. I think a lot of AP automation companies, a lot of them just have sometimes hundreds of people just sitting kind of manually making those things happen. For us, when we built the software, it was all about, just as we were creating all of this automation for the client side, that they should feel like things are effortlessly happening, that the only way to, first of all, be truly secure, minimize human error, and to scale at the level that we need to respond as we need in that speed, is to automate on our own. So in essence, our own software operates our operations. Like, we built a custom software for our operations, and a lot of that has to do and impacts our payment operations, both in terms of the checks and balances and the speed and automation that we can get all of these payments out the door so quickly. So can you share a little bit about sort of behind the scenes
Sure.
and what's there that nobody else sees that just kind of makes it happen?
Exactly. So that's what you said. It's the behind the scenes, right? To our clients, everything is fully automated. Behind the scenes, that's where you've got manual intervention as needed to account for and address and appropriately handle anything that didn't go absolutely smoothly, because we set up intentionally the right checks and balances to say, we need to ask a second question about this, but we handle that as part of our team. To start off, the answer is we built the software. It was custom built, in-house, purpose-driven for our client base to serve these purposes. So it's not off the shelf. We didn't buy it and try to fit a square peg in a round hole. We built it exactly for what our clients need. And in doing that, we were able to design in and spec in through our development team and our engineering teams exactly the right sort of financial controls, so that as long as everything is smooth and the appropriate automated checks are built in and everything checks green, everything is fully automated. But we have all the right controls that if anything requires a second look, it's going back to the appropriate people to say, here's what we need to look at, let's manually verify it.
So like an example of that, if a supplier, everyone's very much concerned, especially with all of, even now with AI, there's so much potential for fraud. One of the things that we're so confident in our systems that we offer a fraud guarantee.
We have a vendor merchant services team that is a true real person, and enabled by AI. The team is absolutely utilizing AI in their role, but we take instructions from clients, who they're working with. We have personal introductions to who their vendors are, what they're doing, what purchase orders they're working under, what invoices we should expect. But in all cases, when a new vendor is onboarded, there is a true human who is going in, sending messages, helping those new vendors be onboarded properly. When it comes to their payment processing and banking information, we have controls in place that the vendor, of course, will have password protected access into the portal, but then certain changes will trigger a flag that requires manual approval of our internal Evid team. Again, it should be fully automated and seamless for the vendor and the client, but it'll trigger our internal review. So as an example, if we see not only the change of a bank account number, but also an admin privilege, that would trigger a very important review for us on short notice. And even things that are, well, we could maybe let this one slide, we will follow up on. So as an example, I had a conversation with a CFO last week where, normally it wouldn't have triggered the, let's hold off any payments until we investigate, but it did hit my, tracking. It was, they only removed a couple of admins and then they changed the name of their bank, but not their account number, which is also a bit of an odd change. It didn't seem nefarious, but it said, there's a couple of things going on here. I'm just going to make the call. And so I called, and the CFO confirmed, yeah, indeed, we had a couple of people moved on from the company. They were, had been in the system. We should have removed them before, but we didn't. So I cleaned that up. And my typo, I had spelled the name of our bank wrong. And so I went in and corrected it. But thanks for following up. That's just one example where, sure, the other 100 vendors that didn't have changes or only made changes that fit within the security parameters went through on fully automated process. But for the ones we need to follow up on, we do that, whether it's over email or over call, because to me, I think it enhances trust when you hear from a true human being as opposed to somebody who knows who sent this email, right? So we engage humans when we need to. And
I mean, I think often feel like, well, how would you have time, right? You're doing, thousands of payments and it's, multiple millions of dollars that go out a day. How do you have time to be able to make those calls? Because all of the things that are working fine are completely automated, it frees up to flag only the things that require attention.
Exactly right. The fully automated, we have the checks in place that says everything here is working fine, no problem, all lights are green, business as usual. And then we've got 3 people that we need to send an email to today, and maybe one of them rises to the level of this should be a call rather than an email. So all of that triaging and appropriate handling is built into our system because our engineers built it under our direction with a mind to security and control.
A lot of companies, I know, even when I talk with people like, wow, you're global and you're supporting Fortune 500 companies, that must have been like a tremendous amount of work. Let's talk a little bit about the power of being global. I think 50% of new vendors that come on to be paid are outside of the United States. We have lots of individuals that need to get paid. It's a really nice sweet spot that we have for especially the creative industries that we service, that they need to pay individuals, and a lot of big systems won't pay individuals because of the risks of the data. So let's just talk about those complexities a little bit, how we're built to be able to do over 200 countries, 140 currencies.
So in my career, I've always worked heavily on international projects. And so I've had a lot of experience in a lot of different capacities in many countries across most continents. So it's something that I'm very familiar with. It's something that I'm happy to utilize in our day-to-day. So first of all, we have a very global workforce. So we have people not just in the US, but in Asia, in Europe, and we can operate round the clock for things like a help desk, but also internally in our finance operations, security and control. We have people in all time zones. With regard to vendor onboarding, we do have compliance process in place that applies to each and every country that we are processing payments into, and they are all different. And so we, the system we have in place in China is not the same as India, is not the same as Korea, is not the same as France. So everything is a little bit different, but we've gone in and have a bespoke process in place that works within the regulatory framework that we require as a parent company, but also the regulatory framework of each of those individual countries so that we maintain compliance. It's very exciting. It's very challenging. But again, with our software capabilities, our technology that was built by our engineering teams, we absolutely leverage automation to the extent that we can have transactions go through on a fully automated basis, vendor onboarding happen in the most automated way appropriate, but also have the right human checks to maintain this level of security and control that we require as well as our clients.
And let's talk a little bit about the team, right? It's a global team, what you see as the culture and what you see as what makes us really successful.
We, as a global team, it does feel like one global team. It does not feel like silos of countries, even though we are all separated by national borders in certain cases. So that's impressive, to have people feel connected and to have people feel like we are all on one team. That doesn't happen easily. And I think it's really an indication, it's an effect of a very positive culture that we've established as a company. The way that that benefits both us and our clients is, as I mentioned, the 24-hour operation. People feel like not that when I come into work at 8 a.m. start time local, that they're starting their work day and then ending it at 6 or whatever it may be. They feel like they're taking the baton from the last time zone who had it, advancing it till the end of their clock, and then passing it off to the next time zone. So it does feel like one team. That's been one very pleasant realization that I've had, as I've gotten to know the team. With regard to how we operate as a company, yes, it's very, business is top priority, clients are top priority. Yes, it's working hard, but it is also caring about our people. And so it's not to say that if you have a family member that needs care, right, that you're going to have to disregard that and put the client first. No, instead, we have people that will fill in, right? Your colleague will take that responsibility for, that period of time. And so it's people that are willing to not only go to bat for clients, but also go to bat for each other. And it's with the top priority that, yes, the client will get what they need, but also our people will live their lives, have very good satisfaction in what they do, in us as a company, and everybody will work harder and better because of it.
And I like to say, when someone says, what's really different about EVED? I like to categorize that as our people, our product, and our service. Our people, right, first, because I really believe that if you take care of your people, if you create an environment where people enjoy what they do, that's the first step to be creating a great company. And then it's the product, right? You've got to have something your clients need and appreciate and want, and something that solves their problems. Then finally, the service part. I think when we started the company, in fact, the name EVED, actually the root word, it's a Hebrew word, and the root word means service. And a lot of people ask, well, why did you name the company EVED? I've created many companies. This is my 5th company as a serial entrepreneur. And if I was going to create a software company, I looked at other ones and it was like you'd get the software, but you got no service. And it's still, unfortunately, reputation of many software companies that you never get service if you have the software. And if we were going into industries, events and productions and entertainment where there's no way that you can be successful to not have both software and service. And even though we are a software company, it was so important that service was at the root of what we were delivering, whether we were delivering it through software or we were delivering it through our people. And so that's a big part of where the name came from, is really making sure that our service is delivered at the same and on par in combination with our software.
Fantastic. Yeah, we are a technology company. We use automation to the extent we can and appropriate, but we are in an industry and we serve a function that does require human interaction, and we need to be able to do those checks. And so we leverage technology, yes, but we are in a service business, and there will always be a strong element of human service for either clients that want the human connection as opposed to the automated response, the video that's posted, the FAQ, but they just want to ask a human. We have that. And then closer to my role in finance, yes, we will always have human intervention because in banking and payment processing, we need that. We need somebody to investigate these things. We can't automate everything. This is a great company, and it's been great getting to know everybody at EVED and being part of the team.